Hi, thanks so much for having us once again. My name is Sarah Be Nice. So, motivation as an African woman. I'd like to give an example, and this is one of many examples, but or experiences rather. This especially an African woman in a foreign land. I was working at this particular company. I was the only female in that department, and also I happen to be African. So of course, there are days I felt challenged to even going to work, because every now and then there was going to be working with men, a predominantly male led place can be very difficult, but it can be very difficult as an African girl. And then I had this manager who used to pretty much initially I started off, because when we grow up we're told like say from the family I come from, we're always told to use our initiative when you go somewhere after being served a meal. As an African girl, you get up and help to clear the tables or to wash the plates or something like that. So when we go into workplaces, I find that when we carry that mentality, it makes our lives much easier, but it can also put us in a difficult place. So I used to do a lot of work for my manager, and he took that for granted, that, to a point that he would always come and ask me, "Oh, Sarah, can you do this for me? Oh, Sarah, do you have a minute to do that?" So at one point I hated going into work, and then I thought to myself I had to motivate myself every Monday. From Sunday evening I would literally get anxiety from going into work. But then I remember I started telling myself the thing that used to motivate me to go was, do you know what? This is not forever. I'm so glad that I'm in this position, and I'm glad that I can do things that will perhaps help me one day. So I motivated myself during that time by reminding myself where I come from, which is humble beginnings, in comparison with where I was at. But also, I reminded myself that this I was learning, and there was no other way. I was so lucky to be in a position where I could learn from and do my manager's work. So from that moment, I just, once you start getting yourself motivated, or once that self motivation kicks in, you find something good in everything. So, in general, where do I get motivation from? I get motivation from knowing that everything I do, every step I take, is intentional, and it is intentional to take me to the next level. And I know if I don't take that step, I will not get to the next level. Sometimes I like to use a spiritual concept of a space. There's a space between where we are at to where we want to go. There's a space between where what I'm doing to what I want to become, to who I want to become, or to what I want to achieve. And for me to get there, I have every day to remind myself that, you know what, I have to walk a distance, and sometimes that distance doesn't seem like it makes sense, but regardless, you have to cover that space. You might find that sometimes you're going to get a little bit of the road you thought you would take, but I know I keep reminding myself that I'm going there. No matter what, I am going there. Another example, and I'll give mostly examples because I believe that examples or experiences are what have told me. So another example of motivation. I used to run. I haven't run in a while. Can I carry on?
Yes.
So I used to run, and this particular day, I set myself up for a 5K, no, 10K run. There's an echo coming through. There's a sound. So I set myself up to do a 10K run. However, I hadn't practiced enough for that particular 10K. So I woke up Sunday morning and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to do this run. I didn't eat well yesterday. I didn't exercise the other day, but I need to do that run. So I knew if I didn't do the run, I would feel worse than if I did the run and did it horribly bad. So that sometimes it's very, very good or important to stand where you are at. Say, if you don't feel motivated, to go like, if I don't do this thing, how am I going to feel tomorrow? Am I going to feel good about myself? Or am I going to hate myself for not having done that? And once you feel like you're going to hate yourself and you hate that feeling, even just putting yourself in that place, it is then easier to get motivated and take the next step. So I sat down that Sunday morning. It was very, very cold. It was very cold. It was towards the end of winter, but it was bitterly cold that particular day. And I went like, if I don't do this run today, I'm going to hate myself tomorrow. If I do it, I might suffer because I might perform not so well, but I'll be glad that I did it. So I went out, did the run. Halfway through, my blood sugars started dropping, and my pace dropped, and I saw people were just going past me, and I could tell that I had another 5K to go, but I couldn't. I told myself there is no way I can't do another 5K, and we were just going through a hilly place in the city. So I somewhat started slowing down, and then I kept telling myself there's a finish line. And I remember the finish line. How, when you cross that line, that is the best thing. There's a finish line. So again, going back to the space between where you are and where you want to go, sometimes it's good to even envision that place, to see that place, to see that goal, to see that desire, that desire like as if it is right before you. So I kept going, and I was looking at my timings. They were terrible, but I kept going regardless. And each time, and I think that was my best lesson, that taught me that sometimes, you know, when they talk about mind over matter, yeah, you can read about it, you can, it's all information until it comes into practice. So this was me literally doing the mind over matter, or going through the mind over matter situation. So I kept going, and then I reached the 8K, and 8K, I was like, I am done. And this time it is flat. It's not even hilly. It's none of that. It is flat. I managed to get, I think, some water or something. And I was like, Ish, why did you even do this? What were you thinking? What were you? And at this point, and again, these are all pointers for anyone listening. At this point, I had to borrow. Sometimes we have to borrow from other places. When we're not able, when we have nothing to tap into, we can't borrow from people we have seen. And that year I used to watch Formula One, and that year I had seen what's his name, Lewis. He was racing with the German guy, I've forgotten his name, and they were in Abu Dhabi, and the German guy's car literally lost everything, and the tires went, and it was the final lap, and they asked him, should we get a recovery car to pick you up? He said, I did not come here to be picked up by a recovery car. I came here to finish the race. And just remembering that, I don't know where the energy came from, and I was ready to go. I ran that final 2K. Like I had dropped down, and they were asking me, are you okay? Should we get you the ambulance? And there's the St. John's ambulances everywhere. They can always, at any point of the run, they can pick you up and give you refreshments and everything. And I reminded myself, how am I going to feel about this, having run 8K and then failed at the 8K. So when I remembered that story, I did not come here to be picked up by an ambulance. I told myself I came here to finish the race. I got up, believe me, you people who are next to me, they must have wondered what happened. I literally went back with the same energy that I started with. My pace changed, my everything changed. And to me, that was a lesson that sometimes we can tap into somebody else's story. We can tap into some. This is why we're here, so that we can perhaps inspire somebody else who might be struggling with getting motivated, who might be struggling with even starting. So that alone, every time I find myself in a fix, in a position whereby I don't feel motivated, I remind myself that, hey, if you did that when you thought that you had nothing left in you, when you thought that you were finished, if you did that, you can do anything. So I got up, I ran, I finished, and that was the sweetest crossing line. And I got this medal, the pictures and everything, and people are cheering. I mean, people in London are so good when it comes to racing. People will come out and wait for people who finish that race, because they understand that it takes a lot to get out of your bed on a Sunday morning, very early in the morning, to run in that cold morning. So my motivation, what motivates me, how do I stay motivated? That's how I get motivated, by knowing that I have a journey, I have a place to go to, I have a destination. I stay motivated by reminding myself that if I stop today, I'm going to feel bad about it tomorrow. So that keeps me motivated. And when I lose everything, again, I look at other people around me. I look at people there are so many people on the internet, and that's the beauty we have, that today we have so many people we can learn from without actually having to go and talk to them. So I look up to those people. I love reading biographies, autobiographies, and those motivate me as well. So I'm constantly looking for different things to get me motivated and to keep me motivated. And as I learned this, it's very, very important for us to pick somebody or a person, or to find a mentor, a role model to look up to. Last time you asked us about role models. Why do we have role models? So that we can look at them and maybe learn something from them. Not to criticize, oh, look, she didn't do this, or look, she didn't do that. But what did she do right that you could do or you could emulate? I hope that answered your question. I yield the mic back to you. Thank you.